Would you survive A Quiet Place?
Never.
I don't want to know.
I am so klutzy.
I don't want to know.
That I would within 5 minutes.
I simply cannot shut up. One podcast wasn't enough for me. I had to sneak my way onto this one so I could keep talking.
Yeah.
And I would, it's the second I stub my toe or step on a Lego, I'm
not
screaming.
even a nail, a Lego.
A Lego. I know.
Yeah.
As soon as she stepped on I was like, I would have been dead immediately.
Like a hangnail. Why?
I get to my knees. No! Done for.
YUNKJunk! What's up to our sidekicks and hedgefolk out there in the Geek Nation? Shh.
Everybody shut up.
Welcome to a quiet cult pop place cast, episode 83. Nailed it. A show where we talk about movies and TV and comics and alien invasions and all the other things that scratch your nerdy little itches. We're coming to you live from YUNKJunk HQ.
YUNKJunk. Oh, is it my job now? Oh,
yeah,
sad.
Whoever's on the right of me. A bomb-ass podcast production space in Philadelphia, PA. Pa, or Daddy. I'm your survivalist host, JD of Johnny Destructo's Hero Complex, located at
4327 Main Street here in Manayunk, PA.
A super comic shop, which caters to comic readers and people who aren't comic readers. And if you're not a comic reader, then I'll make you a comic reader. With me tonight to talk is
It does.
Alice.
Is that me?
Yeah.
I looked at him. That's me. Hi.
I fell for
And
it.
Noel.
I did. That's him.
Alice.
YUNKJunk.
And our son, the voice of reason.
Yeah.
Also in the booth is our trusty producer, Dylan the Great. Remember, if anything goes wrong, Dylan did it. Say hi, Dylan.
Hello.
Hey. Robert Monroe is in the chat saying, what's up, Cold Poppers? Speaking of the chat, get into the chat. Talk to us. We love it. I'll tell you, we had what we call a banked episode, a little peek behind the sausage, if you will. We had a banked episode last week, and the chat was as full as I've ever seen it, even though the show wasn't live. But we were all in there chatting, and it was awesome.
I was traveling and I couldn't be. I was catching like little glimpses of it, but I was driving. Yeah.
There he is. He's there.
I can
be in the chat now.
I'm just going to be in the chat. It's fine.
Before we jump into tonight's show, we want to thank you for joining us. If you're here with us live, feel free to comment, like, subscribe, bell notification, blah, blah, blippity blap. We love a little back and forth, so email us at coldpopgo@gmail.com. For tonight's main topic, we're going to revisit / review 2018 and 2020's modern horror classics. Wow, we're calling it that now?
Yeah.
I said modern
horror classics, A Quiet Place and A Quiet Place Part 2. We want to be ready for this week's theatrical release of A Quiet Place Day 1.
Yeah.
Colon?
Yeah, Day 1.
Colon Day 1.
Quiet Place Saga.
But before we get into that, I have a little question for each of my co-hosts.
Oh, well, yeah. I moved the slide.
What's the question, Noel?
What you been up to this week, huh?
Oh, that thing.
Call the transition.
Oh, I see. Let's transition into that. Hey,
We're doing so good at podcasting tonight, guys.
We're gonna do a segment I like to call "What You Been Up To This Week, Huh?" wherein I ask my very good friends and co-hosts, "What have they been up to this week, huh?" I'm gonna start with Noel. Noel, what you been up to this week, huh?
Am I supposed to go prompt the further conversation or just talk about what I've been up to this week?
What you been up to this week?
Okay.
Or am I supposed to answer because you're looking at Noel?
Yeah,
like you did before?
Yeah, the paradigm is fucked. Just fucked.
By the seat of our pants.
So what I've been up to this week, I have been revisiting things
reviewing?
in the last 10 to 15 years, from the last 10 to 15 years. And I want to talk about a little movie that came out in 2012 called Battleship.
Oh my God.
You guys,
Whoa.
I got nothing but gasps. Did anybody remember this movie? Do you remember it?
I remember.
Usually I elicit that
You see-
reaction
you see-
from Dylan. when
The only
bring
thing I
up
remember,
movies.
the only thing I remember about that trailer is that every time it started, I thought it was going to be a Transformers movie, and then I was like, "Oh, it's Battleship."
You're not wrong.
Never saw it.
So, I don't know how and why this movie exists. It is based off of the Hasbro board game Battleship.
Of the same name, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it like that is a game about trying to just sink someone else's battleship in a board with pegs next to you, and somehow that was extrapolated
Into a
to
movie.
a giant alien invasion movie where a bunch of ships are stuck in a dome bubble and they have to fight these other aliens who
They have to
can't
peg
see where
each
they
other.
are. Yeah, they have to peg each
wow.
other. But so Lieutenant Alex Hopper is a weapons officer aboard a USS John Paul Jones with his older brother Stone.
What?
His brother's name is Stone.
Okay.
Is the commanding officer of the USS Sampson. Unknown to Alex, Stone, to the rest of the U.S. Navy, aliens invaders have arrived on Earth with plans to steal Earth's resources. When a confrontation with the invaders knocks out the Navy's radar capability, American and Japanese forces must work together to find a way to save the planet. So, during a war game where like the Japanese Navy and the American Navy are just playing at war, which they do like annually, aliens invade. And they have to work together. But the way that they incorporate aspects of this very, very boring board game is almost brilliant. Like
almost
camera shots of like above the board, and you could see like alien ships pegged in the same place. The ordnance from the alien ships look like the pegs in the game. Like they're like little landmines that just plop into the ship and explode.
I'm already sold.
There's one sequence, to spoil a 12-year-old movie. There's one sequence where the Japanese and the Americans have to work together, and they don't know where we are and we don't know where they are. So he brings up on this big board a system of buoys that measure the motion in water, and it starts to come up, and it looks like the board in the game, like bees, like alphabets and letters, and then they're tracking the buoys. It is the weirdest fucking movie, but it's so fun. I
question who it's for, because it's not like even in 2012 anyone was playing this board game.
It's very Transformers coded.
Yeah.
In like aesthetics, but it was directed by Peter Berg. Unlike Michael Bay, he lets the camera kind of stay somewhere for a little while. So even though it's frenetic and dirty and crazy, it's paced pretty well. And Rihanna's in it.
Oh my God! Yeah. Why didn't you start with that?
The lead.
She's the gunner, the gunner specialist, and she's great. So like a young Rihanna, Taylor Kitsch, the guy that's weird that's married to Kirsten Dunst.
Oh, that guy.
Todd from Breaking Bad.
Todd from Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
I should know his name.
The redhead who looks like he's a little puffy.
He's also in a Breaking Bad. Not Breaking Bad. I just said that. Black Mirror episode.
Black
really
Mirror,
good one.
Civil War.
Really good Black Mirror episode.
Season 2 or no? Yeah, season 2
award-winning actor that I can't remember his name right now.
But he is in Fargo.
Yeah, he's great. He's a really good actor.
It's on Netflix. My wife and I were
Friday Night Lights.
Every once in a while, I will put on something that she absolutely doesn't want to watch, and it's like usually really late at night. Jesse Plemons.
Nice.
Maybe I'm a little high, whatever. But I remember seeing it in theaters with my brother when it came out, and both of us just being like, probably a little buzzed, being like, that was fucking rad. I started watching it, and this was like 12 at night, and I was like, I can't stop watching this. Who's this for? And how did they get my number? Like, it is such a dumb, wonderful movie, and it's on Netflix.
Would you recommend it?
Yeah, I
to everyone.
I kind of do.
Okay.
I mean, it's dangerously close to being like silly, not nationalist, but like it's very pro-military because it's at a naval base.
Right.
There's one aspect of those, like there's one part where everything is lost and what's going to happen, and then like there are just old seamen. Retired Navy personnel just kind of like out of camera shot, just watching, like, we're here to help. And it's just so fucking cheesy, but it's, I don't know, it's just kind of done really well. The movie's fun. Awesome. It's just super fun.
Great.
Yeah.
Alice, what have you been up to this week?
I have been revisiting a comic book that I actually read when I first started getting into comics. So it has been fun revisiting it because I bought it at your shop. Because it came out in a cute little compact version, Court of Owls.
Yes.
And it's been really fun. I've only read, I think it's just the first 2 issues throughout this little saga so far.
Have you gotten to the maze yet?
No, not yet. Not yet.
The maze.
I know. I like vaguely remember some of it. It's been so long. Yeah, it's been so long since I've read it that like some of it still feels new. And at least in the first 2 issues, what's been really fun is there's a lot of death investigation and forensics type stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, I know a little bit more about this now.
My wheelhouse.
I didn't know. Yeah.
Scott Snyder actually puts he like brings the detective, at least in the early run, early part of the run, he brings the detective more forward.
Yeah, that's so fun. Yes, of course. So I got that at your shop. It's one of the DC compacts.
Yes, tell me about the format.
So this format is the DC compact format. There's only 2 releases so far that they've done. One being Watchmen, and the second one being
which I also have in my house.
the Court of Owls. Costa got that one.
Costa has Watchmen. I have this one. Yeah.
Watchmen seems like a shoo-in, right? But interesting that they started with Court of Owls.
I thought that was so interesting when you told me you told me they were coming out with this, and I was like, I'm buying it as soon as, because it's one of the first comic books I bought, because until I moved here, I didn't have like a local comic book shop. So I just go to Barnes & Noble and see what was on the shelf and buy whatever I thought was cool. So I bought the trade of Court of Owls and I loved it. I remember loving it, and I was like, okay, I'm buying this and bringing it to work and reading it on my lunch break.
I think this makes sense in so much as it's probably one of the more accessible.
Yes, it is.
Court of Owls, Hush.
Hush was another one. I would love Hush in this format.
It's coming.
It's coming. Yeah.
Court of Owls, Hush.
Introduces new villains.
Yeah, Court of Owls, Hush, and maybe Long Halloween is probably a good for that format.
Long Halloween would be good. But Hush and Court of Owls were 2 of the first ones I bought when I was just getting into comics.
Yeah, man, $10.
Yeah, that's the thing.
$10.
$10 for all that book.
I own it. I own that run in like 2 other formats. Still might get it.
Yeah.
Literally, I own this already, but I bought it just because it's cute.
I've had people be like, "Oh, okay." I tell them the price point. They're just like, "Yeah, I'll throw that on."
I was literally
it's like an
Costa.
add-on.
Costa picked it up and he's like, "What's this? What cost?" And you're like, $10. He's like, "I'm buying it."
Yeah, I'm done
right now. He was already at the register.
It seems like an insane price point to me.
Everyone in my life is going to get a trade paperback this year as a stocking stuffer.
That's such a good idea.
$10.
Yeah.
That's just the cost of like 2 candy bars.
This is a great Secret Santa. If you're doing Secret Santa,
yeah,
that'd be great.
I just I feel like they're trying to appeal to maybe the manga market a little bit.
It does.
A lot of book for $10.
I think it's both. I think it's the manga market, but I can't help but remember being a broke college student and wanting cheap comics. Yeah. So I think it's a bit of both. Personally.
You're not going to be able to hear Randy, but I want to ask Randy a question. When I was a kid, they were this big. Do you remember there were like little soft covers and they had like The Secret Origin of the Batman by Jim Aparo? Yes. Yeah. They were even smaller. They were literally this big.
They were pocketbooks. They were actually called pocketbooks.
Yeah. Literal pocketbook.
They were
I thought they were so cool. I had G.I. Joe versions. I had Superman. I had Batman. It was dope.
No, this is not like revolutionary. The IDW did this for the G.I. Joe reprints, like mini omnibuses.
Oh, that's true. They did.
Marvel's been doing it, but inconsistently. Like some new books get a small trade like this, like Strange Academy, Runaways came out in this format first. But they're inconsistent. It's not an actual line. It's not $10. It's usually like $15 or I think $12.
Oh no, they're $12.99. $12.99, which is good. That's
I'd
also
still
very
pay
good.
that.
Yeah.
But like the full push initiative, I think is awesome. Yeah, I want these to succeed.
This was the first thing Scott Snyder did for Batman, right?
For Batman, no.
No.
What was the first one he did?
The first thing he did for Batman was Black Mirror.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
I remember that one too.
This was him taking over the.
Gates of Gotham was between the two. Because Gates of Gotham with Tynan came out around the same time as this, because they were doing that whole like Gotham City, the secret history of Gotham City kind of thing.
I forgot that James Tynan was like his mentee.
I need that.
Yeah.
I love James Tynan.
Yeah. In this actual full run, which I read in omnibus, which the Maze issue is a bitch to read in omnibus format because you're literally turning the book. All the fill-in issues are James Tynan.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
I got to go back because at the time I was like, I'm just here for Scott Snyder. I don't really care about whoever this James Tynan. He's basically a.
But I was just gonna say Scott Snyder was my first Batman comic book experience. That's not true. I read Killing Joke first. Alan Moore.
Nice.
But then
it takes like 10 minutes.
I know. Yeah. Then I first real deep dive into his storyline. It might have been this before Hush. He did Hush too, right? Scott Snyder?
No.
Hush?
The Jeff Loeb.
That's right.
Loeb.
Okay.
Jeff Loeb.
I think I read this first though, and then I did Hush.
Jeff Loeb.
Jeff.
Hey, GD.
Oh, hi. Hey, you.
What hath thought been done of this week prior?
Huh?
There you go. I ordered this book in for you at my shop. Here it is. So this is the Absolute Superman by Jeff Johns and Gary Frank. This is the, what you call it?
Slipcover?
Slipcover, John. And they did the thing that I love, which is, I don't want to pull that off if you want to keep it. The thing I love is that they printed on the actual cover itself. I'm a sucker for that. Mm-hmm. Like even if there's a dust cover, take the dust cover off and it's printed.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got a ribbon. I love a good ribbon.
I actually kind of prefer the older omnibuses and stuff that have like the leather.
Not I, Rabbi. But so Jeff Johns and Gary Frank might be my favorite comic book team. Anytime Jeff Johns and or Gary Frank are on something, it's a must buy. An immediate, I'm down. Except for this, because I was like, I don't need this Absolute. And then you got it, and you're like, he wasn't at the shop, so he's like, you can go ahead and open it and look through it if you want, knowing that I really wanted to do that.
I was alone at the shop, and I was like, I'm going to take this home with me. It's mine. You know what? I took a picture of it and I sent it to him. I was like, you go ahead and check it out.
Yeah.
You have a good time. I'll pick it up later.
So I'm gonna get my own. Or maybe I'll get you one since I've got my grubby mitts all over this one.
No, that's fine.
So tell the people what's in this and why they care. What's this?
I don't know. So the contents of this book are it's not an uninterrupted run. It's a collection of the Superman books that they have done together. Yes. So it's creator focused. These stories are relatively linear. It's just they're not like it's a broken up run. So it's the Superman and the Legion of Superheroes, which was I think a 5 or 6 issue miniseries that happened within Action Comics at the time. Brainiac, which was also a 5 issue miniseries that happened in Action. But then Secret Origin, which is a lot of people have it as their preferred kind of origin story.
Origin. Oh,
it's tied
except
with
for
Birthright.
John Byrne.
It's tied with Birthright for me.
Man of Steel for me.
Like Birthright.
Randy.
And
chime in. Man of Steel or
Secret Origin.
Or Birthright.
Thank you.
Birthright's the one?
Birthright is so good. I want that in Absolute. Linil Yu. I know that DC's probably listening. If you'd like to the next Superman Absolute edition, if you could just go ahead and make that Birthright by Mark Waid and Linil Yu. But this guy's not big enough. It's only 6
like
issues.
It's a little,
but like maybe something else up in the sky. Whoa! Front, maybe. Wait, I'm sorry. Nobody can hear.
What Randy's saying?
He said Up in the Sky is a good candidate by Tom King and Adam Kubert for Absolute. How about kind of like a World's Finest Absolute that is Up in the Sky and Batman Universe together?
Ooh, yes.
Nick Darrington, Brian Michael Bendis.
I'm in.
Yeah, Batman Universe was dope. One of my favorite things about the way Gary Frank draws this Superman is he draws him to look eerily like Christopher Reeve from the 1978 franchise of Superman films that went through the 80s. Hashtag my Superman. I still love him. He's still my favorite Supes.
Literally my man.
Yeah. If you guys haven't read the Jeff Johns and Gary Frank run, it's so good.
It's so good.
This is a big book. I'm saying like I can't like flick it around too much.
Trust us, it's great.
But yeah, it's wonderful. So that's what I've been up to this week, which is going to lead us directly into some news that dropped this week as well. Superman set photos are all over Twitter. They're swiffering Twitter. So we saw Superman. In case you don't know, they released an actual set, not a set photo,
staged
photo. Promotion photo of Superman in the costume while everything's being murdered out the window.
Mm-hmm.
And
casually
these,
putting on his like boot.
I still don't think it was like a contextual staging, just pretty in the background. That's not a story point. And I don't think so, right? Yeah.
So, so now we've got behind the scenes, like people just taking photographs that aren't.
How will this go on the shelf? Like this?
Yeah.
Or like this? I kind of want titling.
Nah, this way.
I would have done that way.
Yeah, this way.
But
then I'll have to switch all of my absolutes to be the back spine.
How do you say his name? David Cornsweet?
Cornsweet, yeah.
Unfortunate. So we got to see David Cornsweet, the new Superman, in his Superman costume. Also, we got to see him as Clark Kent. We got to see the fabulous Miss Maisel as Lois Lane.
Yeah.
Right.
What's her name?
Rachel Brosnahan.
Oh, she's wonderful. Mr. Terrific.
Adi, I forget his last name.
We all agree his hair is bonkers. And then Perry White and Steve Lombard. So we've got to see a good amount of the cast of the upcoming Superman film, which was previously called Superman
Legacy,
and now it's just called Superman.
Edie Gathegi.
As Mr. Terrific?
Yeah.
What did you guys think?
I think everyone looks great.
Yeah.
Most excited about Steve Lombard.
Oh, who's playing him again?
Beck Bennett. Saturday Night Live alumni.
Yes.
With a terrible giant mustache, and I think it's awesome. I'm also super excited about Perry White. I think the only main character we haven't seen yet is Jimmy Olsen.
Oh, we saw Jimmy Olsen too.
We did. Jimmy Olsen was
he was like in the
Olympics?
background.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Cat Grant. I think more than anything else in this movie, I'm most excited about the Daily Planet stuff. I want like a Daily Planet movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Superman family.
Just that. Also,
The Clark Kent family. I should
this
say.
came up earlier this week. What are your thoughts on the ethical dilemmas of writing about yourself?
Oh, the same that Peter Parker has, taking photos of himself and selling them. He's like basically OnlyFans, but for the news.
So I think first of all, it's Superman, so he's incorruptible. That's fine. But in regards to journalists,
journalistic integrity out the window.
Sam have a thought?
The window.
She thinks it's bullshit.
Yeah.
man.
But I don't know. If he's just reporting, calling balls and strikes, as long as it's not editorialized or op-edited, maybe that's fine. Now the problem being when Lois finds out about Superman and Clark, they're the same person.
What?
Yeah.
Alert.
Will she also abstain from writing about him and or editorializing Superman?
Ooh.
She usually has. But that's actually kind of one of the reasons why I liked what Bendis did when he revealed the truth. It was just like, can't lie about this anymore.
So many people. All right. So for anyone who doesn't know, Brian Michael Bendis got onto Superman in Action 5 years ago.
I think it was probably like 30 years ago now, internet time wise.
And he had Superman reveal his secret identity to the world, which to me felt very Superman. The fact that
he doesn't want to lie anymore.
Yeah.
And he has no one. He doesn't need to necessarily protect anyone anymore because his parents are fine. They've got Connor. Yeah. He's got a son that's super powered. Lois has been a target her whole life, and it doesn't really matter if he's there or not. Yeah. And he was tired of lying.
Yeah. I love that. I wish they had stuck with
Superman.
it. Yeah, right?
Sorry. I think they all look great.
Oh, yeah. The costumes. I think that I understand why people had some issues with the costume and the wrinkles. It's not the wrinkles. It's that he doesn't seem like he's filling out the costume in a Superman way. But I'm hoping that this is just, we need our actor to be able to move.
Right.
And we're going to do some digital tightening.
Yeah.
Shrinking.
Yeah. I like how it looks. I always feel like when we judge unauthorized set pictures, like 30% of shut the fuck up.
Yep.
And 70% of how cool is that? Or that looks weird. Because like they did it with the Batman. Yeah. And that in the broad daylight of a normal picture looked horrific.
Yeah.
And it was like just stuntmen versions. But I think it looks great. I think it's got this like weird alien flight suit aesthetic to it that I love. So I'm okay with it.
I really, really liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the colors.
I was just going to say the colors.
Yeah.
Trunks, no trunks?
Trunks.
Yeah.
I do like the trunks. Randy, trunks, no trunks. He doesn't give a shit.
If it's Superman, I don't care.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. And then
trunks.
Lanterns was greenlit. Is it just called Lanterns?
Yeah, it's just called Lanterns.
Interesting. So the Lanterns show has been greenlit. An 8-episode television event for HBO has been officially ordered, show run by Chris Mundy of Ozark and True Detectives. True Detective, some of my favorite television of the past 10 years, and co-written by Damon Lindelof, who you know from Lost, as well as the Watchmen movie. No,
Show.
Watchmen Show.
I was going to ask that too.
Oh, I forgot about that. That was awesome.
It's
and
so
also,
good. Also HBO.
One of my favorite comic writers currently working, Tom King.
Yeah, he's officially a TV writer.
Alice,
That's awesome.
how much experience do you have with Green Lantern?
Last episode.
we talked about Blackest Night.
I read a couple of others like here and there, some friends and I would like trade. I'm a huge Batman fan, so I'd trade like Batman comics for a Green Lantern comic here and there, and we just read. But mostly the last episode was Blackest Night.
We know that we're going to get her the Far Sector compact comic.
Oh, Far Sector's dope.
Yeah.
Give it
so
to me in a
There's
tiny little
something.
compact form, and I will read it.
Yeah, how come Blackest Night's not in there? Or sorry.
Yeah.
Do you have a specific Green Lantern that you like? It's just Hal. Are you a Hal?
Hal gal,
You're a
I guess. That's really the only one I haven't experienced. I was really intrigued with the Red Lanterns, which I said last episode, and their connection to rage and how it connects to their heart. And
And they vomit blood.
Yeah. I want to know more about that. But
Is there blood
Pretty
acid?
kitty. No.
It's just blood.
I don't even know if it's blood. It's just
Rage.
red goo.
Red rage.
just vomiting rage.
Yeah. I've been there.
I was just going to say, yeah.
Yeah,
Who
because I
hasn't?
don't think it, I don't know. I can't remember if it stains everything around it. It's just comes out.
Gotcha.
Mm.
Who's your Green Lantern? Oh, Stumper.
I like more than one of them.
My joke answer is always Gnort. I like Gnort, but I guess if I had to really pick one, it would be Kyle Rayner. That's my dude. Like, especially when he came out, I was the same age he was, basically. I was in the same career. I was
And your girlfriend also was murdered and stuff.
was
in a fridge.
fridged.
Yeah.
Folded in half and stuffed in a
Classic.
fridge. That happens.
Literally fridged.
You would be surprised how often that happens.
Me.
I would not be.
Oh, wait, you wouldn't be
I'm
surprised.
literally
No.
not. I'm literally not.
How many people I have dug out of fridges?
Yeah. Folded in half in a fridge?
How did she
Tuesday?
get into an
Every
ice
day.
tray? It was
Yeah.
ridiculous.
I'm just going to do this the whole
So
time.
who's your top two, I guess, since you can't answer the question?
My favorite stories have been Hal, but my favorite characterization I think is Kyle, but I will read a Jon Stewart story any day. My favorite foil of them all is Guy, because I don't like him
I
at
hate
all, but he's always great in the story. Like, you need a good foil. Like, if it was just a Guy Gardner book, I probably wouldn't enjoy it as much.
Pick
I've
one.
tried it.
Oh, okay. Wait. I got to pick one now.
But like, even that whole era though, too, like to me, the best Jon Stewart stories were during the Green Lantern Corps run during the Jeff Johns era.
Gotcha.
And same with Kyle Rayner. Like, I don't know. I like, it's perfect for a team book. And it seems like that's what they're doing with this show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Because there's more than one good character.
I got asked to pick one by Vicious Marshmallow between Guy
Alice?
Gardner, Kyle Rayner, Jon Stewart. I got to say, just off my limited experience, I had a soft spot for Kyle Rayner. Specifically because of the fridging.
Because of the fridging. Oh, man, I love when women get fridged.
I'm
Poor
sucker for a
Kyle.
tragic backstory.
Oh shoot, what was I gonna say? Oh, so the interesting thing to me was growing up, everyone was all about Hal. And then the next generation, because of Justice League Unlimited, and well, I guess maybe just Justice League, people were just like, who's Hal? Jon Stewart is Green Lantern. And I think that's so cool. I love that, there's a whole core of characters and you could use any of them. You just swap them out, and tell different stories with different core members. I love that.
I'm glad they're going the route of like an 8-episode team ensemble as opposed to just having to pick one lantern to follow. I think that's
For
cool.
sure.
Yeah.
And I think this will be good for people like me who might not have as much comic book experience with Green Lantern to like introduce him to the character. I mean, what other media experience besides comic books and that one movie with Ryan Reynolds is there of Green Lantern, right? Like, is there anything I'm missing?
There's a cartoon. There's a CG cartoon.
One season of a cartoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of it.
I think it'll bring more attention.
Oh, a couple of animated
Like-
movies.
Yeah.
They're fine.
Yeah, they're fine.
I'm excited about this.
Yeah, me too. I'm cautiously optimistic about this.
I'm straight up excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see who they cast.
I'm very excited for that. I'm excited to get more Green Lantern from this, and then maybe it'll help me get into more comic books. I can figure out which Green Lantern I actually like more. Maybe it is Kyle Rayner.
Or Gnort.
Not just because of Gnort. Not just because of
Gnort is
fridging.
basically a humanoid dog.
All right, he's already my favorite.
He's wonderful.
I'm in.
I think your favorite Lantern period is going to be Dax. which is the Red Lantern
It's
cat.
a Red Lantern cat.
All right, yeah.
Vomit
A
Squad.
rage
And
cat? Yeah,
the cat
I'm
is
in.
filled with rage because their owner died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a tragic backstory.
Tragic backstory.
A cat and rage, I'm in.
Good stuff, man.
So that's what we've all been up to this week. Email
Dex.
us or get in there and tell us what you've been up to this week.
Dex.
Vicious Marshmallow, before we move on, says, what about Guy Gardner? He's just a friendly gay fella.
Gay Gardner.
Oh, gay Gardner. He's just a friendly gay fella who loves to garden. He came out for Pride Month one year in DC Comics.
That's brilliant.
Did you just make that up?
I'll look it up.
I don't care if you made it up or not. Vicious Marshmallow, they are now my favorite.
That's amazing.
I'm going to tell everybody that.
Thank you for that. So that's what we've been up to this week. Let us know what you've been up to this week. We're going to move on to A Quiet Place. We're going to talk about A Quiet Place.
We're just silent the rest of it.
And then
It's okay.
We're going to do this a lot.
We're under 3 feet of concrete, and they can't hear us unless
and
they're right above us.
And waterfalls.
Yeah, you have to be quieter than the natural noises.
My one, it's not a nitpick. In that world, there's literally no reason for you to do this. Everyone knows to shut up.
Well, now.
Anyway, directed by John Krasinski, who you may know from The Office.
What's that show?
Jim?
I've never heard of it.
It's delightful.
I forget.
You should watch it. Written by Brian Wood, Scott Beck, and John Krasinski. Starring John Krasinski, Emily Blunt, Millicent Simmons, good name, and Cade Woodward, also a good name. A family struggles for survival in a world where most humans have been killed by blind but noise-sensitive creatures. They are forced to communicate in sign language to keep the creatures at bay. So I was very interested at the time to see what John Krasinski would be doing. I am also automatically in for anything involving Emily Blunt.
Yeah.
And they're married, yes?
Yes, they are.
Wonderful. So I was, just the trailer got me hyped. So I'm pretty sure I went and saw this in the theaters like the opening weekend. And it is a absolutely riveting thriller. And revisiting this yesterday, still riveting. Like I know what happens and I'm still on the edge of my seat holding my breath because of this goddamn movie. I love this. What did you think, Noel?
This is the first time I saw it. Came out in 2018. I missed it for, I don't know, reasons. I don't even know why I didn't see it in theaters. And then it just kind of kept. It was one of those things where everyone was talking about how good it is. And I'm like, I can't wait to watch that. I'll watch it eventually. And it just kind of time passed. Yeah. And then the pandemic happened. But it came out April of 2018. It cost $17 million and it made $341 million. So we never saw it. Was looking forward to watching this, and the new one's coming out. So agnostic of the podcast, my wife and I were like, hey, let's actually watch these movies, because she is not a horror person, but something about this, very simple setup. She was like, yeah, we'll watch it during the day. I think I can handle this. I was like, yeah. I was wildly impressed. It was effective and good, but this movie is so lean. It is 90 minutes on the dot.
I was saying this before,
It starts with no explanation or entry point, and it ends mid-scene. This is such a tight fucking movie. It feels like a play. It feels like just a series of events. Like I was just peeking in on this disaster for 90 minutes and then I'm out. Like it's just really confident. It's a really confident movie. And I kind of loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alice.
I loved it. This is my second time seeing it. I saw it around the time it first came out. I didn't see it in theaters. I watched it with a friend who had already seen it in theaters. And I was hesitant to watch it because it didn't seem like my brand of horror. Like, I love horror. I tend to go for the gory, the slashers. And I was like, a movie about being quiet. Oh my God. I was a little bit of a hater. A little bit of a hater before. A little bit of a hater. Not quite a hater, but I was just like skeptical. She convinced me to watch it at her house. And I'm like, I'm probably going to fall asleep because there's no noise. I was riveted, like you said, the entire time. I'm like, oh, any noise, even just within my friend's house, I was like, what was that? Like, I was like, oh my God. And like, it was so good. I jumped every time there was a noise, and it It's so good. And it's still, like you just said, even rewatching it, I was still holding my breath, even though I knew about when other noises were going to happen. It was just so well done.
Yeah.
And like Noel said, I loved that it was kind of compact and short.
Yeah.
And it did what it needed to do in the 90 minutes. It wasn't too short. It wasn't too long. And it was excellent. I love this movie.
Yeah. Extremely competent film, especially for a first time director. Very impressive. We're going to get into spoilers. That was our basic thoughts
for just part one.
For just part one. What?
Yeah, we're doing 2 movies. I don't want people to tune out and then come back and then tune out and come back.
Should we just do a review of the second one and then we'll do spoilers for both?
It's a 40-year-old movie. It's fine. Whatever.
All right. Yeah. I mean, we're still going to be spoiling it. So do you consider yourself warned? The way that it sets up things and then pays them off later is fantastic. I had forgotten that we had seen the baby box.
I have a thought about it.
Oh, let's have it.
I didn't think about this on my first watch, but sitting there watching on my second watch, I wonder if they thought, I mean, you probably can't think about this during an apocalypse situation, but I was thinking about this watching it. What are the psychological ramifications of putting a baby in a box whenever they cry? In a pitch black box.
Yeah.
Like whenever they're crying for their mother and you're like, all right, I got to put you in a box. Like, I want to know what that child grows. I want a movie about that kid growing up.
It's basically Carrie being put in the closet.
I'm in defense of them putting their child.
I totally get it.
No.
Yeah.
That was only supposed to be for traveling because they soundproofed the cellar.
Okay.
They soundproofed the cellar, not the
the bottom of the home,
like underneath the basement. So it wasn't supposed to be under a long-term
every time they make a noise, box time.
Yeah. And then a lot of stuff happens on the fringes in this movie. Like in the first scene or in the second scene, we see the kids like a year later after the opening. We see them pretty much like soundproofing the walls of that, and then you find out it's a nursery. So like it wasn't a long-term solution.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But
I was just
probably fun.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to all of the research studies in that world 20 years from now.
I know.
Yeah. Day 7,000.
Yeah. I'm not blaming them at all. I know you got to do what you got to do, but I'm like, that kid is going to be messed up.
Yeah. Just the fact that they thought that through. Like, we're going to make this character pregnant. We're going to show you how how maybe not the world, but how this family deals with a baby that you can't quiet. And also having to give birth during that scene is one of the most harrowing.
It's just
I took
stressful
notes on
scenes.
my phone for each movie, and my third note is poor Emily Blunt. The entire movie, poor Emily Blunt.
It's just good writing.
Yeah.
So good.
A movie like this can be pieced together like a puzzle. Like you maybe have a conflict or a sequence setup, and then you kind of reverse engineer a setting or a situation where these people would be able to do X, Y, and Z. So like them being on a farm and farmers themselves kind of takes care of some like early questions you might have about like, how do they do this? How do they do that? How do they farm? Not what the movie's concerned with. So they just made it that. Same with the implication is that she's a nurse because she knows her way around the pharmacy. She knows exactly what is going to be needed. And she knows the oxygen and she knows her birth plan, the whole nine. And it's carried on into the second movie too. Like the implication is both of them, that is their profession. So so as a viewer, you don't necessarily have to start thinking about like, what are they going to do? Like the movie is subtly telling you like, these people are competent like this. Don't worry about it. Worry about this.
Yeah.
Which is, and he is a tinkerer too. Like they set up all these wonderful things of like, why would he have this whole setup?
He tinkers.
He tinkers.
He's a musician because there was guitars and amps. He's like he's got radio setups. Like the more interesting movie is in the frame and on the fringes of this one.
Yeah.
And the fact that there was no clunky dumb fuck scene where it's like when you were a musician and you had to be a farmer. I went to nursing school. Like they didn't need to set that shit up.
There's no exposition.
The
to
movie
this movie
didn't talk down at me at all.
Yeah.
It was just like, here we are. Let's go. And I I respect that every goddamn day of the week.
I respect that they respected us.
Sorry, I'm looking at my notes again. One thing I also loved, whenever you're in the daughter's POV, the daughter, for anybody who doesn't know, is
I love that.
deaf and has a hearing.
Actually is deaf.
Yes,
I
the
didn't
actress
realize
is
that.
actually deaf.
Yeah, she went deaf due to a medication overdose when she was an infant.
I didn't know the cause, but I knew she was deaf. But whenever we're in her POV, it's quiet. We can't hear it. So like in the first opening scene when they're in the pharmacy, her little brother's running around and you hear him pitter pattering. But then when the camera's on her, you see him pitter pattering, but you don't hear it.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
And it's so, I just love it. It's so, it's like one of those little subtle things. I'm like,
I kept thinking of Chucky though. Yeah. Little pitter patter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Little child's play.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
No.
Oh, Randy said, interesting. The actor, the little brother is actually dead.
Yeah, it was all method.
Yeah. Oh my God. So John Krasinski, I didn't realize this, played the creature in a motion capture suit for a bunch of scenes.
Wait,
I bet you the
really?
end.
Yeah.
I bet you all the sequences. So like the end setup is the mother and the two kids in the basement. Yeah. I bet you probably for
That's
that he
for
was
yeah,
motion
he
capture.
was,
Yeah.
He was still there. I was just gonna say something about John Krasinski. I lost it. Never mind. It'll come back to me.
Beard or no beard?
Speaking
beard.
Oh, beard.
Yeah.
100%
beard. Yeah.
1000% beard.
Speaking of setups, the nail.
Oh yeah.
The
immediately.
nail. God
Yeah.
One of
damn
the
it.
initial poor Emily Blunts.
That was to help her go through childbirth. It was like I'm gonna this pain is gonna be nothing like this pain.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Great.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember what I was gonna say. The opening scene when he's trying to get his kid right before the monster comes reminded me of Pet Sematary. When Louis Creed is trying to run after Gage, and then it's like you almost see him grab his shirt, and like it was so close, and then the monster came in. It was so good.
So I'm sorry. Well, it was probably spoiled, right? Like at this point, I feel like that scene has actually been all over Twitter recently. Were you guys surprised by that kid got it?
No.
In the beginning?
Twitter is. I wasn't surprised by
if you show me an adorable child who likes a spaceship toy, I'm like,
and he's not long for this world.
It's really difficult. It's really difficult for us to, in so much as we consume so much content, know the seams, know the tropes. So, yeah, I knew that kid was
Once he grabs the batteries, you know he's done for.
He's done for.
Yeah, when he grabbed the batteries, I was like, he's going to make noise.
Also, because of that same, just understanding as a
Chekhov's batteries.
a desensitized consumer, I knew the other kids were going to be fine. I knew that this was going to happen. I knew that was probably going to happen. Like, you just kind of know.
Did you know that Krasinski was done
Absolutely.
For? Yeah?
Absolutely.
I wasn't sure if it would be Krasinski or because she has that scene with him after giving birth and going through all of this, and she makes him promise that he would protect her, which sounds like
I'm long for this world.
I am a character that's going to be out of here soon, so I need you to make sure.
No, his whole thing was trying to get the boy to move past his anxiety and then trying to stop the girl from wanting to do more.
And blame herself and
reasons.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, narratively they're setting it up to where the two of them will have to fill his void.
Yeah.
And then I and especially the moment when the younger boy has the middle boy has like a real conversation with his dad, which was a great scene. I was just like, oh, he's dead, and his last move is going to be telling his daughter that he loves her.
Yeah. You need to tell her you love her. Yeah.
I was ready made me cry.
I was ready for it.
I was still
and
sobbing.
It still worked, and that scream was fantastic.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It's
even got Randy.
It's. I'm not complaining that I knew some of the beats. It was just more about. It doesn't matter that I knew the beat.
Right. It
was
still
just good.
On the edge of my seat, even though I knew that little kid was going to take that toy and make some noise. I was still like, when?
Yeah.
Like, when is it going to happen? And
who lets that little kid, what family lets that, in that situation, lets that kid take up the rear? Like they're walking single file and they're
that
like,
that was a whole conversation. That was a whole conversation later on too. She's
like, I could have held
my hands
him.
were free.
My hands were free. I could have held him.
I could have carried him.
It's
that's another one where I was like, especially now that I have a 3-year-old.
Oh, I can't imagine.
No matter what, complacency. Like no matter what, we are creatures of habit, and we will always kind of like they probably made that trek hundreds of times. Yeah. They had their path hundreds of times. The kids were trained hundreds of times. Yeah. You don't know.
The kid was still a dummy.
I was more like, why not the 3-year-old back there? The deaf child should always be in the middle because she can't hear anything approaching, right? Mm-hmm. So like that would be more concern to me.
Right.
Yeah.
Like a parent in the back. Let's go.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Shoot. Oh, speaking about the dialogue, there's no dialogue that's wasted in this movie.
Right.
It can't be.
Every time that there's a conversation, it is such a well-written, well-acted conversation. Like, I'm just as riveted listening to them talk as I was when everything was quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's just another, like, again, that's another, like, kind of really fun narrative device. Like, hey, we have to be quiet. Let's create this situation where the family itself knows ASL. And
yeah,
it's really cool.
Yeah.
The waterfall was a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Robert Monroe Jr. says, I saw this in the theater with my daughter. She hated it. They were in the drugstore and they didn't think to get condoms or birth control. Who has a baby in that situation? Babies can't keep quiet, said his daughter.
Maybe some people had the same thought and all the condoms and birth control were gone.
That's true. They were all out. But also just pull out. Pink Apocalypse says...
That's not a valid method. Everyone listening.
I don't know if you time it really well.
Guys, no. Please.
Speaking as an asshole, says Pink Apocalypse, that's loved Better Call Saul, but have yet to see a single episode of Breaking Bad. Yeah. I think I'm just going to watch A Quiet Place prequel first before watching these two.
Probably could.
I was just going to say, I did that with Furiosa and I loved it.
You probably could.
I am very pro seeing the prequel before and I want to know how it is.
I think we are all agreeing the first movie was great. I'll segue into the second movie.
Well, you were correct. It is a modern classic.
Okay.
Yes.
The way you described it in the intro.
Yeah,
you're correct.
I think every 10 years or so, maybe 10 to 15 years, there's a horror movie that makes everyone go, horror's back. Like,
Saw.
Saw was a good one. And then they just keep redoing it for, like, Scream, Saw. They keep redoing it for like another 10 years until the point where people get tired of it. And then some movie will come out that only cost $10 million to make. And it'll explode and everybody will do the horror's back.
What was that called? Not Supernatural.
Paranormal Activity.
Paranormal Activity. There's another one.
That was a horror's back conversation. This is, I think, this generation's horror's back, where A Quiet Place, very little to make, very competent, we're gonna get Quiet Place movies, probably like 5 of them total with different casts and different paces. Which if they're all strong, I'm down. It's just whatever. Horror's back, baby.
Speaking of the one we're about to speak of, I was like, don't make another one. Like, this is a perfect little. It's perfect. Just don't make A Quiet Place Part 2.
I forgot. Pink. See them in any order. Who cares? Yeah, it's all good.
Watching backwards.
They all should be accessible from what they are.
Yeah.
Like even if you just watched Part 2 without watching 1, you're probably fine. Like legit, it gives you a whole opening.
I want to know what that's like, watching Part 2 and then Part 1. And then the prequel. Yeah, I want to know someone who's done that, and I want to know what they think.
I think if it's a TV show, you're in for the ride. If it's a movie, even if it's a sequel, I do think they need to slightly cater to or like have an accessible point.
Yeah, where you can stand alone. Yeah.
Okay,
they're good. Let's talk about 2.
A Quiet Place Part 2 picks up directly where we left off. Oh, God damn it! That final shot of A Quiet Place with the badass.
And she like looks at her daughter, look at each other.
Yep. Oh, I love that. I'm sorry.
So good.
That was such a great.
Can I also just say, you were just saying, sorry, I'm interrupting.
No, please.
The sequel takes place right after this happened. Emily Blunt has still just given birth.
Yeah.
Going on my poor Emily Blunt rant. Yeah. I forget her actual name in the movie.
She
hasn't recovered from giving birth.
Yeah.
She probably has tetanus because she stepped on that freaking nail.
Yeah.
And then she has to walk her 2 other children and an infant to safety.
A couple miles down the road.
Oh my God.
All right. So Quiet Place Part 2. Do we have a...
I do.
Let's see. Let's look it up.
Written by Brian Wood, Scott Beck, and John Krasinski. This is the same writing team and directing team, John Krasinski. Following the events at home, the Abbott family now face the terrors of the outside world. Forced to venture into the unknown, they realize the creatures that hunt by sound are not the only threats lurking beyond the sand path, which... Terrible description because it's one scene.
I thought that too. I thought we were really going to get into humans becoming the monsters, which I love in an apocalypse story. It was like a scene.
It's almost like the humans are the Walking Dead.
Yeah.
We're all
the Walking Dead.
We're all
Starring
infected.
Cillian Murphy, Emily Blunt, Millicent Simmons, Cade Woodward, and John Krasinski. What I liked about this is that we do get a day one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, great opening.
That was all caps in my notes. The opening.
Yeah.
So good. And then when things go to shit and the bus.
When she's I was getting ready to say the bus.
Sorry, I'm spoiling it. I don't know if we're spoiling it.
That's right.
And then it starts to, anyway. So I love this movie just as much as I love the first one.
I love it.
I wouldn't say that. Slightly less. The first one's perfect. This one is a really competent sequel.
This one costs $55 million, which is like 3 times more, and made $297 million at the box office in the middle of the pandemic. So it was widely successful. What I like about this movie is it went bigger, but all the action still stayed really small and focused. Like the whole opening sequence was a pandemonium of this town, this farm town becoming attacked. Giant monsters and buses and car crashes, but it was almost always shot from inside of a vehicle. It was always from
shots.
Like a mid-shot perspective of a character, and it's happening behind them.
Yeah.
Like he kept it really, really confined in a what's the word where you're stuck and scared?
Claustrophobic.
Thank you. A very effective claustrophobic way, which I really, really enjoyed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was an excellent sequel, and I just want to say they filmed a lot of this in Buffalo, New York, where I was living at the time of the filming, and I remember it was like a big thing. People were like, "You think like we're going to see John Krasinski somewhere?" Yeah. Like, I did. Coast and I would do like a charity bike ride every year called Ride for Roswell, and it would go through like all the suburbs of Buffalo, and that's where they were doing a lot of shooting. And I remember people like getting ready for the race. They're like, "Do you think we're going to see like Emily Blunt or John Krasinski while we're riding?" I was like, "I don't think they're going to pop out and be like, 'Hey everyone,' and then go away." But I still looked. They didn't, as far as I know.
The only thing that I wouldn't complain about it because I love seeing them all the time. But when Cillian Murphy shows up in the opening of like just another dad at the game. I was like, yeah, that motherfucker's still alive. He's coming back later in the movie. Because you don't hire Cillian Murphy for a scene. Yeah. Yeah. But other than that, I was cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I loved it. It was wonderful.
What'd you think of the setups? Well, let's get into spoilers. What'd you think of the setups? Because the first one had so very, very cool set pieces, would you call them?
Yeah,
set pieces where they're in a particular situation and then they have to make a noise. How did you feel about this one?
I think they broadened it effectively. Like it was more about, judging from commercials, it seems like the next one's going to do a lot where it's just not necessarily staying quiet when you can. It's just redirecting or misdirecting and running for it. I think there was a lot of that. I liked the plan. I really, really liked the sequence on the dock. That was wonderful with the Marauders and stuff. Yeah.
Bringing that back from the beginning.
Too, that's another one of those, like you've seen so many movies and you've written things.
How do you
you're
say
like,
dive?
Yeah. Throwaway line of like, how do you say dive? Like in ASL, and it comes back
because
later.
Of the baseball
Even
game.
the way he did it, like at first it looks like he was like begging her, like please, 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 and then he's like dive, and she's like, oh, got you.
Yeah.
And then I
got you, bro.
I got you.
And it also like at that moment too, I was just like, yeah, these bitches can't swim. Mm-hmm. Like, so that's going to set up a nice thing. And yeah, it's a fun put together movie. The end is all right. I already forgot how it ended.
We're spoiling, right?
Yeah,
we're spoiling.
So she gets to the radio room. She puts her hearing aid up. The frequency disrupts all of their thing. And then at the same time, you see side by side, the son is with the mom and the baby. He's protecting them. He walks up, shoots it, and she walks up and beats it with the bat, which I loved.
Come to fruition.
Yes.
They're filling the void of their father.
Yes.
Together, simultaneously.
I love whenever an anxious kid confronts his anxiety. As an anxious kid myself, I'm like, hey, you go, little guy.
You can do it.
What was the fade to? Both of them had fade to blacks. What was the fade to black for this one? Because you don't see them be reunited. What was the end scene? Like the very end,
like
the last shot.
As she like hit the monster, and like I think that was the fade to black.
Was it?
I think
smash cut black.
And then I think it was like she hits, he shoots the gun. They both look at the dead monster in front of them, and then it's like fade.
And
black.
they made the specific choice not to show the kid pull the trigger. Just you saw the after effect. I was like, hey, PG-13, how's it going?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Can't have a kid fire a gun.
I didn't clock that, but that's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, speaking of the doc, the fact that he uses one of the creatures as a weapon, awesome.
Yep.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, that was so good. Where he
Yes.
ties the guy and he's like,
Dabs him in the leg,
Yep.
scream, and then he
Yep.
jumps for it.
it's just a smart movie.
Is his name
Scoot McNairy.
McNairy. I knew it from.
I clocked him immediately.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, they really did a good job with that wig.
Yeah.
Who is he?
Scoot McNairy is from one of my favorite TV shows, *Halt and Catch Fire*.
Also, one of his favorite movies, Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice.
Oh, that's right. He's the guy with no legs and the bombs underneath his chairs
Oh, okay.
and the piss jar. Remember?
Classic.
Oh, it is a
Pister.
piss jar scene.
Yeah, piss jar scene. I was very excited to see Scoot McNairy.
He's just got a good name.
That is a great name.
Scoot.
Are we excited?
Yeah.
About A Quiet Place Day One?
Yeah, absolutely.
You're in. You're excited.
I'm in.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think. So I think we should. We'll talk about it after the show. I think we should revisit this franchise.
Oh yeah, I'm down.
Yeah.
I think I'm sad that the family. We're moving on. I'm sad that we're moving on from the family.
I don't know. So I was thinking about this. They are good. Like
I know, but
every character arc that was established in the first movie came to fruition, and these characters are good.
no, I get it. I just liked being in that family.
No.
Yeah,
I liked hanging
Okay.
out with them.
I get that, like
I'm
with
super
shows
good.
and stuff. But I'm excited to see. I get both takes, but I will miss this group of actors.
Yeah.
Yeah, she successfully had her baby. The kids kind of came into their own and worked as a team, even though they weren't in the same physical space.
She dealt with her guilt.
The man,
The little girl dealt with her guilt.
The farmer has dealt with the fact that he lost his whole family, and now he's finally seen hope again by helping this other family. Everyone has a full, complete character arc in a tight 95-minute movie. We're good.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And all this craziness.
For 1 minute, I forgot. There's that scene where the middle child is walking. He's alone with the baby, and he's like walking above whatever bunker they're hiding out in, and he sees what I'm assuming is the farmer's dead wife.
Yes.
And mummified. I forgot about the dead wife, and I thought it was going to be revealed that Cillian Murphy was a bad guy, and he was the one
Yes.
setting the trap.
I
and
thought
I'm like,
that too.
I'm like, no, she's doomed. And then I was like, oh wait, his wife died. She's probably still there.
That was my only problem with that sequence. Thank you for bringing that up. Is that he is there with his little brother. And he's the only one there in this bunker. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to put this little dude down and just walk around.
Roll around.
I'm just kind of bored.
He did have binoculars. He was looking for his mom. He was scared.
He was freaking out and seeing if she was here.
He was having a panic
There's no
attack.
reason for him to go upstairs and find all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I thought the same thing too. Like as he's creeping around and you see that shower curtain type thing, I was like, oh, there's something awful, and we're gonna find out that he's a bad guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm glad that we didn't. But that was my one qualm with this movie is that those setups aren't as perfect as they were in the first one.
Mm-hmm.
There's slight little there's no reason for you to have done that.
I have one more. Oh, sorry.
And then we're gonna wrap up. But yeah,
would you survive A Quiet Place?
never.
I don't want to know.
I am so klutzy
I don't want to know.
that I would within 5 minutes.
I simply cannot shut up. One podcast wasn't enough for me. I had to sneak my way onto this one so I could keep talking.
Yeah.
And I would, it's the second I stub my toe or step on a Lego, I'm
Not
screaming.
even a nail. A Lego.
A Lego. I know.
Yeah.
As soon as she stepped on I was like, I would have been dead immediately.
Like a hangnail. Why?
I get to my knees. Done for.
Yeah, I don't know.
Also
Probably
very
not.
klutzy and just drop
Probably
things.
not. I think all of us in cities would be fucked. So
That's
it doesn't matter.
true.
Like only those in middle America probably would be okay.
Yeah, true. All right. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Please let us know what you thought of A Quiet Place and A Quiet Place Part 1. And if you're excited for A Quiet Place, I'm probably Part 2 and A Quiet Place Day 1. There we go. I nailed it. That's it. We're done. Let's get the fuck out of here. We'll talk at you later. Do.
YUNKJunk!